The signal in the static captain. Marcus Kane stood in the communications bay of the orbital station Meridian, watching static dance across a dozen screens. The electromagnetic storm had been raging for 3 days, cutting Earth off from its outer colonies. But something else lurked in that cosmic noise, something that made his skin crawl. "Still getting those weird frequencies, Captain," said Lieutenant Tom Bradley, adjusting his headset. The young officer's face was pale, dark circles, under his eyes from monitoring the signals nonstop. "It's not random interference. There's a pattern here, almost like someone's trying to talk." Marcus frowned. In his 20 years of service, he'd learned to trust gut feelings. This felt wrong, like standing in a graveyard at midnight and hearing whispers in the wind. The pattern Tom mentioned wasn't just communication. It was deliberate, purposeful, hunting. "Play it again," Marcus ordered. The speakers crackled to life with an otherworldly harmony. Deep bass notes mixed with high-pitched whines, creating a sound that seemed to bypass the ears and speak directly to something primal in the human brain. Everyone in the room unconsciously stepped back from the speakers. "Sir," whispered Sergeant Rachel Stone, the station's security chief. Her hand instinctively moved to her weapon. "Whatever that is, it's not from any human colony. The frequency signatures don't match anything in our databases." As if responding to their conversation, the signal suddenly changed. The random patterns organized themselves into something almost musical, but wrong, like a lullaby sung by something that had never been human, but was trying very hard to pretend. "Captain," Tom's voice cracked with panic, "it's responding to us. Every time we speak, the pattern shifts. It's listening to our voices and adapting." Marcus felt ice in his veins. During the war with the Arcturus rebels, he'd heard stories from deep space scouts, tales of ships found drifting empty, crews vanished without a trace, only strange marks carved into the walls. The reports had been classified, dismissed as combat stress hallucinations. "Shut it down," he ordered. "All receivers offline now." But as Tom reached for the controls, the signal exploded through every speaker on the station. Not just the communications bay, every intercom, every emergency alert system, every piece of electronics capable of producing sound suddenly sang with that alien voice. And then, clear as crystal through the chaos, came words in perfect English. "You called for me." The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Marcus's breath came out in white puffs as he stared at the main screen, which now showed not static, but the black void of space. Something was moving out there, getting closer. "Sir," Rachel's voice was barely a whisper. "Long-range sensors show an unidentified vessel approaching Earth. Estimated arrival, 6 hours." Marcus grabbed the emergency communicator. Whatever was coming had been listening to humanity's radio chatter, learning their language, their patterns, their fears. And now, it was coming home, to roost. The Crimson Eclipse. The thing that called itself Valdris emerged from its ship like liquid shadow taking form. Marcus watched through the security feeds as the creature moved through Meridian's docking bay with predatory grace. 7 feet tall, pale as moonlight, with eyes that burned like dying stars. Its ship behind it looked organic, breathing, more grown than built. "Motion sensors show it's alone," Rachel reported, though her voice shook. "No other life signs on that vessel." "That doesn't make me feel better," Marcus replied, studying the creature's movements. Valdris moved with the fluid confidence of something that had never known defeat, never experienced fear. Its long coat seemed to absorb light, making the edges blur like looking at darkness through water. Dr. Benjamin Cross, the station's xenobiologist, pushed into the command center with his scanner readings. "Captain, the energy signatures are off the charts. Whatever this thing is, it's not operating on any known biological principles. The cellular activity is almost crystalline, like living mineral." "Is it hostile?" Marcus asked, though he suspected He already knew the answer. Unknown, but the electromagnetic field it's generating is interfering with our systems. Life support is starting to fluctuate. Ben's face was grim. And Captain, there's something else. The signal we've been receiving? It's not coming from the ship anymore. It's coming from inside the station. Marcus felt his blood turn to ice water. Explain. The creature isn't just communicating with us. It's broadcasting on frequencies that directly affect human neural activity. Every person exposed to those signals shows elevated stress hormones, increased heart rate, and... Ben hesitated. And what, Doctor? Heightened suggestibility. It's like it's preparing us for something. Through the security feed, they watched Valdris reach the main corridor. It paused, tilting its head as if listening to something only it could hear. Then it spoke, and its voice came through every speaker on the station simultaneously. Fear is such a delicious frequency, it said, the words dripping with ancient hunger. Your species broadcasts terror like a beacon across the void. We have traveled far to answer your call. We didn't call anyone, Marcus said into his communicator, hoping the thing could hear him. Valdris laughed, a sound like crystal breaking, in slow motion. Every war cry, every scream of pain, every moment of despair, they all echo through space, Captain Kane. And we who feast on such energies, we always answer. The lights flickered throughout the station. In the medical bay, patients in recovery began reporting nightmares even while awake. In the residential sections, children started crying for no reason they could explain. It's affecting the entire station, Rachel reported. Psychological warfare on a scale I've never seen. Marcus made a decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Seal all sections. Lock down everything. Whatever this thing wants, we're not giving it easy access to the civilian population. But as the blast doors began to close, Valdris smiled, revealing teeth like polished obsidian. Walls cannot contain what feeds on fear itself, Captain. Your terror will sustain me, and when I am finished, your world will know true hunger. The creature raised one pale hand, and every locked door on the station began to open. Legacy of Two Worlds, Jake's fighter screamed through space toward the Hegemony flagship, its celestial engines leaving a trail of blue fire. Behind him, Europa Station continued its desperate battle, while across the galaxy, his newly awakened siblings brought ancient weapons online. Jake, you're flying straight into a kill zone, David's voice crackled over the communication system. That ship has enough firepower to vaporize a small fleet. I know, Jake replied, weaving between enemy fire with reflexes that were part human intuition, part celestial enhancement. But I've got something they don't expect. Dr. Vasquez monitored his approach from Europa Station. His biosignature is changing again. The genetic activation is accelerating. Inside the fighter, Jake felt the final barriers in his mind dissolving. He wasn't just remembering Marcus Aurelius now. He was becoming him, while somehow remaining entirely human. The two consciousnesses merged seamlessly, creating something new. This is impossible! The Void Lord snarled as Jake's fighter somehow penetrated their defensive screens. No single pilot could... That's where you're wrong, Jake interrupted, his fighter now glowing with the same blue energy as his eyes. You never understood what made the Celestial Republic strong. It wasn't our technology or our numbers. It was our connections. Across the galaxy, Jake felt his siblings linking their consciousness with his. 11 other awakened heirs, each piloting their own hidden celestial vessels, each adding their strength to his. But there was something more. He could sense other minds joining the network. Human minds at Commander Brooks, still aboard Europa Station, felt his awareness expand as the celestial technology integrated with his command systems. Dr. Vasquez gasped as her scientific instruments became extensions of her consciousness. Throughout human space, ordinary people found themselves connecting to the network as dormant celestial technology revealed itself in the most mundane locations. "You see," Jake said, his fighter now surrounded by an aura of pure energy. "My father didn't just hide weapons among humanity. He gave us the greatest gift in the universe. Choice. The World Killer fired, its destructive beam capable of shattering planets. Jake didn't dodge. Instead, he flew directly into the beam, his fighter's hull absorbing the energy and converting it into something new. Every human who chooses to join this network becomes part of something greater," Jake continued, his voice now broadcast across both the hegemony fleet and human space. "Not conquest, not dominion, but cooperation, partnership. That's what you never understood about the Celestial Republic. We weren't conquerors. We were gardeners." The World Killer's beam struck Jake's fighter directly, and for a moment it seemed to vaporize completely. The Void Lord laughed in triumph. Then the blue light erupted outward like a newborn star. Jake's fighter emerged from the explosion, not destroyed, but transformed. It had become something beyond celestial technology, beyond human engineering. It was the perfect fusion of two species' greatest achievements, the analytical perfection of celestial science and the chaotic creativity of human spirit. "Impossible," the Void Lord whispered. "Inevitable," Jake corrected. "This is what evolution looks like when two species choose to grow together instead of apart." The transformed fighter struck the hegemony flagship with the force of a contained supernova. The World Killer, that symbol of destruction and conquest, became something beautiful as its dark hull was converted into pure energy and scattered harmlessly among the stars. Across the galaxy, the hegemony fleet found themselves facing not just 12 awakened heirs, but millions of humans who had chosen to join the network. Farmers became tactical coordinators, scientists became weapons operators, children became navigators, not through force or coercion, but through the simple human desire to be part of something bigger than themselves. The war that had raged for millennia ended not with destruction, but with transformation. Hegemony soldiers, freed from the influence of the Void Lords, found themselves welcomed into the growing network of consciousness that spanned species and worlds. Jake's fighter returned to Europa Station, which had now fully revealed itself as a celestial garden ship, its mining equipment transformed into terraforming systems designed to nurture life across the galaxy. As he climbed out of the cockpit, Dr. Vasquez ran the final genetic scan. "Remarkable," she said. "You're still completely human, but somehow also completely celestial. It's like your DNA found a way to be both things at once." Jake smiled, his eyes still holding that blue glow, but warmer now, more familiar. "That's the thing about humans, Doc. We don't like to choose between good options. We figure out how to have both." Commander Brooks looked out at the stars, where human and alien ships were working together to repair the damage of centuries of war. "So what happens now?" "Now we do what humans have always done," Jake replied. "We explore, we learn, we grow, and we make sure nobody else has to choose between being who they are and becoming who they could be." In the depths of space, Queen Lyrale's image appeared one final time, no longer a hologram, but a living consciousness joining the network. "Welcome home, my son," she said, her voice carried by love across the light years. "Both of you." The galaxy had found its gardeners again, and they were gloriously, stubbornly, impossibly human. The message in the stars. Valdris materialized in the command center like smoke given form. But something was wrong. The creature that had stalked them with predatory confidence now moved with uncertainty. Its pale skin flickered between solid and translucent, and those burning eyes held something Marcus had never expected to see. Confusion. "Impossible," it whispered. studying the humans as if seeing them for the first time. Your fear should have sustained us for cycles. Instead, you have poisoned the well. Tom kept his hands on the communications console, the inverse frequency still broadcasting. Not poisoned, seasoned. Fear tastes different when it comes with a side of human stubbornness. Dr. Cross stepped forward, his scanner readings off the charts. Captain, the creature's molecular cohesion is breaking down. The inverse frequency isn't just disrupting its feeding, it's undoing whatever process allows it to maintain physical form. Valdris laughed, but it sounded more like sobbing. You do not understand what you have done. My kin sense the disruption. They come not for sustenance now, but for war. You have turned a harvest into a crusade. Good, Marcus said firmly. Maybe it's time someone stood up to you. The alien's form shimmered, becoming more ghost-like by the moment. Your species is not what our scouts reported. The fear screamers who mapped your world spoke of timid prey, creatures who wept at shadows. They did not mention your capacity for... It paused, searching for words in a language not its own. For being magnificently petty, Rachel suggested, her weapon trained on the fading creature. For hope, Valdris finished quietly. Even in terror, you maintain hope. It corrupts the purity of fear, makes it indigestible to our kind. Carlos Rivera emerged from the engineering sections, leading a group of crew members who had been restored when the psychic energy dissipated. Captain, the creature's ship is powering down. Whatever's happening to it is happening to its technology, too. Marcus felt a grim satisfaction. So what now? Do you slink back to whatever hole you crawled out of and tell your friends that Earth is off limits? Valdris's form was barely visible now, more suggestion than substance. We cannot return without feeding. Starvation awaits us in the void, between stars. But perhaps... The creature paused, its fading eyes focusing on something beyond the visible spectrum. Perhaps there is another way. What do you mean? Dr. Cross asked, his scientific curiosity overriding his fear. Your species generates not just fear, but a spectrum of emotions. Some might prove compatible with our needs. If we were to approach as guests rather than predators, to seek sustenance through willing exchange rather than forced extraction. Marcus raised an eyebrow. You're asking us to be emotional livestock? I am suggesting a symbiosis, your nightmares and terrors freely given in exchange for protection from threats your species has yet to imagine. The galaxy is vast and full of predators far worse than us. Tom looked up from his console. Captain, the inverse frequency is still holding, but I'm picking up massive energy signatures at the edge of the solar system. Multiple ships, all broadcasting. The same psychic signature as our friend here. The crew fell silent as the implications sank in. Valdris might be neutralized, but its backup was already arriving. How long? Marcus asked. 18 hours, maybe 20. Marcus turned to the fading alien. If we were to consider this arrangement, what guarantees would we have? Valdris smiled, and for the first time, it looked almost human. None that you would accept from us, but perhaps some that you would create for yourselves. Your species has a gift for finding solutions in impossible circumstances. As the creature faded completely, leaving only empty air and the lingering scent of starlight, Marcus looked around at his crew. They were scared, exhausted, and facing an impossible situation. In other words, they were ready to do what humans did best, prove the universe wrong about what was possible. Tom, he said, quietly, start broadcasting on all frequencies. It's time to let Earth know they're about to get some very unusual neighbors.